Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we're going to pick up where we left off with this Principles of Business paper. So we looked at number 2 in the last video, and so today we're going to be looking at the May-June 2016 paper 2 number 3. So we're going to do number 3 for the May-June 2016 paper 2 for CSEC Principles of Business. But before we jump into it, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. And like we said before, you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell and like the video. Alright, good. So number 3, define each of the following terms and give one example of each. Capital, collateral, 3 marks each. So define it, definition is now only 2 marks, and give one example of each. And so we have capital. Capital are basically the man-made resources that are used in production. That's a simple way to put it. The man-made resources that are used in production. For example, the building, the machinery, the vehicle, those kind of things would be considered capital because they are used to produce other goods. And collateral would be any asset that is used to secure a loan or secure some form of financing especially when you want to start your own business or when engaging in production. But the collateral is the assets that you use to secure a loan or secure some form of financing. For example, a house, piece of land. Those things are collateral that you can use to secure a loan from a bank or credit union or something of that sort. And if we could jump to our textbook, we have capital includes all of the man-made items that go into producing other things, such as manufacturing machine, tools, and buildings. So that's the textbook definition right there for capital. And you know capital is a factor of production, first and foremost. All right, and collateral would be something of value such as property, machinery, or financial assets that can be used when loan is being applied for. If the loan is not repaid, the lender takes the ownership of the collateral and can sell it to recover their loss. But we're not going into all that. But the main part is it's assets that can be used to secure a loan, such as buildings, machinery, etc. Next question, next part of the question. B, outline 3 advantages of borrowing money from a credit union as opposed to a bank. So 3 advantages. Okay, so first and foremost, a credit union, you have to be a member. Well, for the most part, you have to be a member if you're even going to borrow any money from a credit union. You have to be a member of that credit union. And as a member, you have certain privileges. So that's one. You have to be a member, you have certain privileges, such as lower interest rates. Okay? So you have a lower interest rate when you're borrowing. Well, you tend to have a low interest rate when you're borrowing from a credit union as opposed to a commercial bank. The interest rate on the loans tend to be lower, so you have to repay less than if you were borrowing from a commercial bank. So apart from the lower interest rates that you'll have to pay back, the fees, the actual transactional fees for acquiring the loan tend to be lower at a credit union than at a commercial bank. So the business fees or the overall fees tend to be lower at a credit union than at a commercial bank. Also, the offerings. Now, whereas the commercial bank might offer a lot more money to offer you to borrow, credit union, they tend to be more, should I say, versatile, or they tend to be a little bit more niche. Maybe, I mean, that's contradicting, but they would offer loans in areas that the banks would not offer loans. For example, they would offer small loans in areas like agriculture, tourism, setting up a small business. You know, if you have a unique small business, they'll be more willing and able to lend you that money, as opposed to a bank who might not take on the risk of small business owners like that. So sometimes you go to the bank as an agriculture person, you cannot get a loan because of the risk, but credit unions might be willing to help you with that kind of thing. So that's 3. Another thing that credit unions have over banks as it relates to borrowing money is that, like I said before, you have to be a member of the credit union in order to even engage them with these kind of things. But as such, that means that your probability of getting the loan is a lot higher than if you were to go to a commercial bank who don't really know you. You just come in as a customer maybe for the first time, or they just see you as an account number. In the credit union, you might be able to get the loan faster because you're a member and they would have your history, and they're there to help. Their main aim is to help their members, and so they will be willing to take a greater risk on you. So your chance of getting the loan the probability is higher when you go to a credit union than you go to a commercial bank. Also, the customer service at the credit union tend to be a little bit more, they tend to be a little bit more cordial, a little more friendly, a little bit more on point than at a bank. A bank might just see you as a transaction and that's it, but in the credit union, they might be able to help you a lot more. Like if you're borrowing, they might be able to help you with maybe a business plan if that's what you're going to borrow towards or something like that. But their customer service is way better than that, and it's more personalized than that of a commercial bank. Sometimes it's small, so you might know everybody might know everybody, and so that kind of business relation is a little bit better than if you go to a commercial bank. So those are some of the advantages you get when you choose to go to a credit union over a bank when you want to get your borrowing, your loans. Our next advantage would be that the fact that sometimes the loan comes with savings scheme attached to them, because the main aim of credit unions is to encourage savings for the members. And so most of these loans will have some kind of savings scheme attached to them to encourage you to save. They'll actually take it out of when you pay back your loan, they take it out to encourage you to save your money. So those are some advantages right there of our benefits of borrowing from a credit union as opposed to a bank. Again, it's a nice question because, again, an application question. All right, number 3C. Identify two elements of a business plan. So 2 elements, you have a whole lot of parts of a business plan. Of course, you have executive summary, you have a marketing plan, your operating plan, your financial plan. All those are elements of your business plan. Your textbook nicely outlines the elements of a business plan: introduction, executive summary, business opportunity, operational plan, marketing plan, financial forecast. So all those are elements of the business plan, but they only ask for 2, so you give any 2 and you're good to go. And then Dino, explain one way in which a business plan is important to each of the following stakeholders: the business owner and the potential investor. So one way, the business owner. Of course, the business plan, as I said, is a plan, and it shows you, it outlines exactly what you want to achieve. So it gives an outline or guideline to help you to achieve what you would like to achieve. That's what the business plan is there for. It's a guideline to show you, to keep you on the path, to ensure that you achieve what you're trying to achieve. That's one. Also, for monitoring, the business plan can be used by the owner for monitoring. So you're going to write on your plan, and then you can look at the plan and say, okay, I should be here, but I'm here. So you can use a business plan to monitor and evaluate your progress of your business, because in your plan you might have a 2-year forecast, a 3-year forecast. So you look at the business plan and say, okay, I'm almost in 2 years. Am I where I need to be? Yes, no, maybe. What can I change? So you can use the business plan to evaluate and monitor your business performance. So apart from being a guide to helping you to achieve what you need to, it is also act as some historical data to show you where you were, where you're at, so it can be used to monitor and evaluate your business progress. And if we go to the textbook now, they have a whole list out here. They said to research and assess the feasibility of the business. So what the business plan would do is, while you're making up a business plan, it can actually tell you if what you're proposing is actually feasible, if it's possible. So while writing a business plan, based on the research you would have done, the preliminary research, it would let you know, okay, this plan is not workable, it is not doable. And so you may go back to the drawing board and try to come again, or give up that part, that aspect of the business, because the plan shows you it cannot really work. So that's the next way in which it can be used. And of course, it is used to attract investors, potential investors. So you have to present your business plan. That's one of the biggest reasons you have a business plan, because the bank want to see a business plan. Anybody want to get money from, they want to see a business plan. And so the plan is used to obtain finance, to raise finance and attract potential investors. So those are some of the reasons why you would want to do a business plan, and why it is beneficial for the owner to have a business plan. What about potential investors though? No, potential investors, same thing in a sense, because they can use the business plan to monitor. Remember, they're lending you the money, so they want to make sure that they get back their money. So the business plan would give them some idea of the feasibility of the business, if it can actually make back the monies they're going to invest in them in a certain amount of time. So the business plan can act as a guide for the potential investors to show them if they can obtain returns on if they invest in this business. Also, the business plan shows you have to do a forecast in the business plan, the financial forecast that has to be done in the business plan. So when the potential investor watch the forecast and they say, okay, this business can be profitable in 2, 3, 4 years, they know that they don't have to wait too long to have returns on their investment, and so that can encourage them to lend the person the money. Also, it can be used as a tool to evaluate the readiness of the person you might want to invest in, because if you don't have a business plan, then don't bother come. I'm not going to watch it twice because you don't have a business plan. So the business plan can be used to show, okay, this person is serious, they are ready, they have the documents in place, this is someone I can do business with, they are serious about this thing. And so you can use the business plan as a guide, as a guideline or guidance to say, okay, this person is serious about business, and so you might want to invest in that person. And so remember again, the business want to know they can get back their money. And so the business plan would show them the roadmap in which they can actually get back their money if it's feasible, because that's one of the most important things to them. They want back their money. So they don't want to see a plan that's not workable, then they're not going to lend you any money. If they don't see a plan at all, then you get no money. They're not going to even have the interview with you. So that's one of the reasons why the potential investors would want to see a business plan. And apart from all of that, the very simple thing is that a business plan give the potential investors just a general idea. I wouldn't even say general, a more in-depth idea of the business, what it's about, what it's going to do, what it's going to offer. Instead of going and start, bringing just in there talking about your big idea and whatnot and not on paper, the business plan, you take the business plan, you give it to them, they read it, they get a more comprehensive idea as to what the business is all about. And so based on what, and they know if any legal ramifications exist, if it's feasible or not, they give an idea. Because you might have some crazy idea, but when you put it on paper, that's when you can actually flesh it out and see what you're really talking about. Because it might just be in your head spinning and nobody knows what you're talking about. But when you flesh it out on paper, then that's when the investors can see, okay, I see the vision, and I'm willing to support you. All right, so that's it for question number 3 for the May-June 2016 POB paper 2. And again, these questions, this 2016 paper, I love it because the 2016 paper asking for a lot of application. It's not no real jump into the textbook and find answers for everything. They're asking you to take the knowledge that you have learned and apply it to these questions. It's almost like a case study. It's a beautiful thing. All right, good. So that's it for that question. You know what to do, I said before. Like the video, subscribe, do all that kind of good stuff. Share the video, get the channel growing. It's growing nicely. We almost at 13,000 subscribers. Growing nicely. Keep it up. Let's get this thing done. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.